The language of Qur'an, easier than English. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to lesson number 13. In this lesson, we're going to learn inna along with other set of words which behave exactly like inna, which are called inna and her sisters. More importantly, how they work within the sentence structure and what they do. Inna is one of the most commonly used words in the Quran, and this series, inna, anna, ka'anna, layta, lakinna, la'alla, is used about 2,200 times in the Quran. So it's a very, very important set of new words, but more importantly, how they work within the grammatical structures of the Arabic sentences that we have been learning so far. So we have a lot to cover. Again, we're going to split the video into parts so that the video does not become too long, but please do take your time and make sure you're able to follow the context. Inshallah, if you've done the previous lessons, this lesson will be relatively easy. So let us begin with the blessed name of Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, making the dua, Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair. Inna, the particle of emphasis and nasab. Alhamdulillah, I hope you can remember back in the mapping of the Arabic session, I introduced you to groups of sets of words in the Arabic language, which are very commonly used in the Quran. And as I mentioned already, that they're very useful if we learn them and how to use them, that you can get significant understanding of the Arabic text. Again, these words you're already familiar with. We've done the pronouns here, which you can see. Huwa, huma, hum. We did that in lesson number 5. And then we got the attached pronouns, which picked up in lesson number 9, 10, 11, and 12, how they're used. And in the previous lesson, we done the pointing words. And of course, we're going to be looking at alladhi and those in the final lesson of this book. And of course, the huruf of jar, which are used almost 12,000 times in the Quran. And now one of the major ones that's left is inna and her sisters, almost used 2,200 times. So you can see here, not only alhamdulillah, so far, you've learned many sets of words, but you've actually learned how to use them. So again, most important thing in Arabic is not really learning and memorizing vocabulary, but more importantly, how to focus and how to understand how they're used in sentence structure. You will also recall the map of the Arabic language that I shared with you. Now we are going to learn inna and her sisters, how they're used, but they do not actually form a structure of their own like a murakkab naqis. What they do, they work as part of the jumla ismiya, which you can see here, the nominal sentences. They go into the nominal sentence and make some changes. And then we're going to look at that in detail in this lesson, inshallah. So let's begin with inna. Now, inna is used in the Quran 1682 times. 1682 times. That means you will find it nearly 3 or 4 of them per page, 600 pages, so 6 divided into 1600. So you'll find very, very commonly used inna. So we're going to look at how it's used. Now, inna is a harf of nasab. Remember the harf of jar that we did in lesson number 8 and 9? They changed the ism to jar, majroor. But these sets, what they do, they change it to mansub, nasab. So it's called the harf of nasab and also emphasis. The Arabic name for it is harfu Tawkeed wa Nasb. So again, it does two things, gives emphasis and makes it into Nasab. So we have a standard jumla ismiya here on the screen. Allahu ghafurun. Again, you don't have to, by now, inshallah, you should be able to recognize that this is rafa and this is rafa, and we got our mubtada and the khabar, and therefore we have the sentence, Allah is forgiving. Now, if I want to put inna in front, inna. So what happens when I put inna in the front to the sentence? I change the meaning of the sentence. So this is where the emphasis comes in. The meaning isn't just now Allah is forgiving. It's certainly, indeed, Allah is forgiving. So I'm actually emphasizing the sentence, its meaning, by putting emphasis by using inna. So inna creates emphasis. Please note that, very, very important. But it also converts the mubtada from rafa to nasab. So again, instead of Allahu, it becomes Allaha, inna Allaha, and then this becomes mansub, nasab. Now, when it becomes nasab, it cannot be mubtada anymore. So the scholars call this ismu inna. Ismu inna is mansub, nasab. So again, please clearly see that, inna Allaha. And then of course, ghafurun is rafa, and now it is called khabaru inna. So it's still khabar, but it's khabaru inna. So inna, The ism of inna here, there's the first, is the mubtada, ism of inna, and the khabar of inna is the khabar. So this is how it grammatically impacts. So please note, mubtada, which is rafa, marfu, it is converted to nasab. And this is why it's called the harf of nasab here, and Tawkeed, because that's what the meaning is. Again, I mentioned to you before at the beginning that there are 6 of these words that convert the subject to nasab. Inna, anna, ka'anna, layta, lakinna, la'alla. All of them have different meanings. Just like the huruf of jar that we did, remember? Bata, kaf, lam, wa, min, fi, an, ala, hatta, ila. Those ones that we studied. They convert to jar. These convert to nasab. But they have their own meaning. So each one will have its own meaning, but the impact will be the same. So the same thing, inshallah ta'ala. So if you learn one of them, you've learned them all. And we will, of course, learn inna in detail because it is the most commonly used in the Qur'an, 1682 times. On the screen now you have five different Arabic sentences. They're all, of course, nominal sentences, jumla ismiya. And you have Hamidun Salihun, Ibrahimu alimun, Ibrahim is a scholar, and Musa is truthful. This is a reminder. And then we have the believers are grateful. So what I'd like you to do is add inna to them and change the meaning to indeed, which you can see the translation on the left hand side. Using the same principle as I showed you earlier with the example, Inna Allaha ghafurun. So using that example, inshallah ta'ala, as a template, see if you can do this. Pause the video, take your time, inshallah, and come back when you've done the task. So you can see on the large screen there, I have put the examples there. We are going to see what happens when we add inna to Hamidun Salihun. So if you remember what happens, this is our mubtada, so it will become Hamidan Salihun. So indeed, Hamid is pious will be inna Hamidan Salihun. And then Ibrahimu alimun, exactly the same principle. Inna Ibrahimu, please note it needs to become nasab when I add inna. So Ibrahimu becomes Ibrahima. And please note these are the set of words that don't take tanween. And in the rafa there are Ibrahimu, Ibrahima in nasab, and Ibrahima in jar. So that it becomes Inna Ibrahima alimun. Indeed, Ibrahim is a scholar. The third one is Musa. Musa is a set of words that don't change their ending in the normal sense that we've seen. So it becomes Inna Musa Sadiqun. No change, but it will be nasab. Why? Because of inna. Inna will impact on it and make the mubtada into ismu inna. Ismu inna will be mansub. So even though you can't see the actual change, it is nasab because of inna. Hadha dhikrun. Okay. Ha inna hadha dhikrun. Again, hadha does not change. See the previous lesson. But it is nasab. Why? Because of inna. Inna impacting on hadha will make it or put it into the nasab state. And because this category do not change, there is no change at the end. But it is nasab, and this is of course rafa, as it is in the case with all the others that we have seen. So let me label them all for you. And the last one, al-mu'minuna shakiruna. I put inna in front. I get al-mu'minina. And please note, mu'minuna is rafa, mu'minina is nasab or jar. But here, because of inna, we can be 100% sure that this is nasab. And of course, this is rafa. And then the right hand side, you have your ismu inna. On the left hand side, you have your khabaru inna. So that's exactly the examples that I showed you earlier in some more detail. Please make a note of these. The rest of the lessons are easy. All I need you to do exactly the same exercise, inshallah ta'ala. So you have now 3 examples. I use the word Muslim just to make life easy for you. Al-Muslimu sadiqun. Al-Muslimani sadiqani. Al-Muslimuna sadiquna. Should be very easy for you. Pause the video and let's go through the answers. So let's go through the answers now, inshallah ta'ala. We want to say, indeed, the Muslim is truthful. Very easy, inshallah. I hope you can see the change. Inna al-muslima sadiqun. And then we have inna al-muslimani sadiqani. Mubtada and khabar. What changes happens when we add inna? We can see here, inshallah ta'ala, inna al-muslimaini. Remember, ani, aini. You can see the example of this now here on the screen, inshallah. Now let's look at the next example. Inna, then al-muslimuna will become inna al-muslimina sadiquna. Again, I hope this is not difficult for you now to recognize that the ismu inna is nasab in all three examples, and of course the khabaru inna is marfu. Again, if you've forgotten the endings here, please revise lesson number 4 when we did the singular, dual and plural in some more detail. Another set for you to practice. In this set, inshallah, you have now the feminine version. Exactly the same principle, inshallah. See what happens when you add inna to those jumla, the sentences which are jumla ismiya. So add inna to it and see what changes occurs with the sentence. Remember, the structure is the same. It's still a sentence, but we are emphasizing the meaning. Let's quickly go through the answers. In the first example, we have innal muslimata sadiqatun. Okay, very easy, I hope, inshallah ta'ala. In the second version with the dual, again, innal muslimataini sadiqatani. Again, you can see that very clearly on the screen. And the last example, innal muslimati. Please note, the atun is the rafa version, atin is nasab, atin is also the jar version. But here al is added, so the tanween disappears. So we have innal muslimati, and it is nasab sadiqatun, which is our rafa. So please note, and because there is no al, the tanween here can be seen. So this is rafa and this is nasab. So the first part is your ismu inna, the second part is your khabaru inna. Okay, 2 examples now on the screen. First, we have Abu Hamidin alimun. I hope you can easily recognize this is mudaf ilayhi. If you are struggling, go back to lesson number 10 and 11 where I did this in detail. And of course, I'm adding inna. So what happens to Abu Hamidin alimun, Akhu Zaidin salihun? So I want to say indeed. What happens to these 2 special types of words? There are 5 of these, if you recall. So what happens when we add inna, i.e. we need to make it mansoob? Pause the video, take your time and come back when the task is complete. So again, very easy here, inshallah. Inna Aba Hamidin. Please note these words are Abu, one rafa, Aba with an alif when nasab, and Abi with a ya when jar. So they express their i'rab with waw for marfu, and alif for mansub, and ya for jar. These are 5 words. Most important 2 that we need to know is Abu and Akhu. That's why I put them there. So inna Aba Hamidin alimun. And then we have inna Akha Zaidin salihun. Again, I hope you can recognize that this is now our ismu inna, which is nasab. And of course, this is your mudaf. And your mudaf ilayhi is here. Okay. And then, of course, this is now my khabaru inna. So again, exactly the same principle follow, except that you got to know which type of categories of words and how they express their i'rab, which is exactly the thing that I've been mentioning all the way from the beginning. You can see now, inshallah, all of that coming together. So in summary, brothers and sisters, what happens? You add inna, the mubtada and the khabar. Inna will change the mubtada to ismu inna, which will be mansoob, or in the nasab status, and you'll have ismu inna, and then we have khabaru inna, which is rafa. I hope you can see that very easily, inshallah ta'ala. So inna allaha ghafurun. Indeed, Allah is forgiving. And this is your jumla ismiya, which we've been learning, and slight variation, huge difference in the meaning, and of course grammatical changes. The that you can see on the screen. So please remember this sentence. This will help you remember which part to change to mansub, and it's a very important structure for you to learn. So let's look at some examples from the Quran. The first one we have here at the beginning is, of course, with the word inna. Inna is your harf. Harf of Nasab. This will now be your ismu inna. This will be a khabar of inna. And this will now be your khabar number 2. And I've covered when you can have more than one khabar in I think in lesson number 5. So, Inna Allah ghafurun rahimun. Indeed, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. Again, we're emphasizing the meaning here of the forgiveness and the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. So we can say, indeed, Allah is oft forgiving, most merciful. So again, very beautiful example for you to practice what we have learnt. Another very common example from the Quran, Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Little bit more involved, but inshallah you can recognize straight away. So of course, this is your harf of Nasab, and this is your ismu inna. So we have two things, ismu inna becoming mansub, which you can see here. Then we have ala. Ala, of course, you can recognize that as harf of jar. Kullun is the original word. So you have kullun, meaning every. But because of the ala, it becomes kullin. Right? But you can see it's kulli. So it must be mudaf also. Okay, it's majroor and it's also mudaf. And shay'in is your mudaf ilayhi, and that's why it is in jar status or majroor. And qadirun, inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. So indeed Allah has power over all things. So the qadirun is power. So you can see here what's happened here, that this structure ala kulli shay'in has come before the qadirun. So inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Allah indeed has power over all things. Very beautiful and very commonly used in the Quran. So please pay attention to all the parts, and inshallah there is nothing new here that you cannot recognize. And qadirun is rafa, and this one inna Allah you can see here is mansub. So these are called muta'alliq. So it's coming between the, technically speaking, ismu inna and the khabar of inna. Last beautiful example from the Quran we're going to look at in this video, inshallah, is this example here. Now you see inna, you're looking for ismu inna and khabaru inna. Now ismu inna is mansub. The only nasab that we can see is here. So what is going on here? This is your harf of nasab. Harf of nasab. Inshallah, by now you got this bit. But ma'a is your mudaf. Remember, ma'a is an adverb. So mudaf plus mudaf ilayhi. So these two combined together, mudaf plus mudaf ilayhi, is now coming before the ismu inna. Ismu inna, of course, is the same as having a mubtada, but because of inna it changes. So why is the mubtada or ismu inna going at the end? Why? Because it is indefinite. Can you see it's indefinite? And in that case, if it's used with a special, what we call shibu jumla, if you remember, we said that harf of jar followed by ism majroor, or an adverb mudaf followed by mudaf ilayhi. Not all mudaf ilayhi, but mudaf ilayhi structure. When it is an adverb, when the mudaf is an adverb, they will come first. So this is now khabar. Khabaru inna, we can say, technically speaking, muta'alliq is actually connected to something hidden. So inna Allah al-usri, yusran. So what is the beautiful message here? Indeed, with hardship, there is ease. The emphasis is given on the ease here. Inna, upon the ease itself. So whatever hardship we have, difficulty in our lives, ease will follow, inshallah ta'ala. So again, be patient, be sabr, and this is a very beautiful message here. You can see where the ismu inna is coming at the end and khabaru inna is coming first, but the khabaru inna is muta'alliq. It is, you can say here, is shibu jumla because of al-usri, which is a special type of structure. Please pay attention to these. All the things that we've learned previously, now they're going to getting practice more with additions, inshallah ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the introduction to inna, the particle of emphasis, and of nasab. Inshallah ta'ala, we will continue to develop our knowledge in the next video, where we will look at its use with attached pronouns. We will also be looking at a number of other ways how sentences in Arabic are emphasized using particles like lam and also innama, and how to make the sentence restrictive. So there's a lot to cover, inshallah ta'ala, and we will cover that, or we will continue to do covering the topic in the next video. Again, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you with the very best in this world and in the hereafter for a good intention to learn Arabic, to understand Qur'an. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make things easy for us, remove all difficulties, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and reward you for your continued support and your du'as and your feedback. Kindly like, share and subscribe with others, so that others can also benefit from learning Arabic to understand Qur'an. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. الذي علم بالقلم